Hello, welcome to Distinguished Wisdom Presents. I'm Pastor Terrence L. Turner, and today we'll be bringing you Distinguished Wisdom Presents Living Proverbs, Volume 1, over 500 wisdom nuggets to enrich your life, written by myself, Pastor Terrence Levis Turner, and this book is available to you at my website, TerrenceTurnerLivingProverbs.com. That's TerrenceTurnerLivingProverbs.com. Also, you can find it at Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, and wherever books are sold. You can find this book. It's a great book. It will be a great encouragement to you for daily wisdom. Today, we're bringing you a Focus 15, And today we're going to focus 15 minutes of teaching on one of the living proverbs from this book. Today we're going to be focusing on Living Proverb 403. Living Proverb 403. And so this is a Focus 15 on Living Proverb 403. God will sustain sustainers. God will sustain sustainers. God will encourage encouragers of life. God will water those who water his garden, those who tend the flock, his flock and family. Again, God will sustain sustainers. God will encourage encouragers of life. God will water those who water his garden, those who tend his flock and family. The liberal soul shall be made fat, and he that watereth shall be watered also himself. Proverbs 11:25. The liberal soul shall be made fat, and he that watereth shall be watered also himself. Proverbs 11:25. Now, what do I mean by this particular living proverb? And why do I call it a living proverb? Because it's a proverb for living. It's wisdom. A proverb is a saying. It's a something that has been discerned for living, helping you to live. It's a guide along the way. It's a guide along your path. It's a wise saying, a wise teaching that is concise teaching, that it is deep enough teaching that it can guide your life in a deeper way, quickly, in a short amount of words, few words, but great guidance. And so that's what a proverb is. And so this is a living proverb that can guide you for better living. Now, Living Proverb 403, it says, God will sustain sustainers. God will encourage encouragers of life. God will water those who water his garden, those who tend his flock and family. What am I talking about? I'm talking about givers, people that give out of their life, who live to give, people that give to help others. If you live to give, if you live to help, if you live to be a benefit, if you live to build up others, God will sustain you. God will sustain sustainers. If you're someone who lives to sustain others, you eat so that you can be strong to make someone else live longer or to uphold somebody else. Now, you got to sustain yourself. You got to take care of you. So you take care of you so you can take care of others. You get your rest so that you can feel better to be able to help more people. You increase in wealth and riches. You be diligent. You work so that you can make the finances so that you can have more to help others. If that's your purpose, if that's your guide, if it's your guide to increase financially through being diligent, using what God has given you, increase financially so that you can be a greater benefit, God will sustain you. God will encourage you. God will water you. God will help you. It should be your desire. In fact, it is a responsibility. I believe it's a moral responsibility to maximize what God has given you so that you can be a greater good to others. The scripture also lets us know Jesus, he talks about the two great commandments. The one asked him, what is the greatest commandment? And Jesus said, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy mind, and with all thy soul, with all thy strength. And he said, this is the great commandment. And the second is like unto it, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Well, the only way for you to love your neighbor, you have to love yourself. If you'll take good care of you so that you're strong, so that you can take care of your neighbor, God will sustain you. He will sustain you. There's a scripture that says, muzzle not the ox that treadeth out the corn. Muzzle not the ox that treadeth out the corn. Why you don't want to muzzle the ox that's treading out the corn? Because that particular ox is using its strength to tread out corn that can make bread to feed many. That ox is using its strength to tread out corn that can make bread to feed many multitudes. So don't muzzle the mouth of that ox, because that ox need to eat, so that ox can be strong to continue to tread out the corn that will be used to make the bread to feed many. So God will sustain a sustainer. God will sustain those who uses their strength, their intellect, their money, their finances, their time, their creativity, their giving, their love to help others, to sustain others. God will sustain you, and you should expect God to sustain you. God is not asking you to be a martyr. He's not asking you to be a martyr in life. Just give your life for others without taking care of you. Because when you're dead, you're gone and nobody else to help them. So you have to take care of yourself, and God will give you good sense to take care of yourself. And He'll also give you opportunity to increase so that you can have something to take care of yourself. He expects you to get rest. God's not going to do for you what He gives you good sense to do for yourself. Take time to rest. When you say enough is enough, you need to stop. Okay, hey, I gotta take some time now and take care of my brain, take care of my mind, my body. I gotta get something to eat. I'll feed y'all, but I gotta get me something to eat. Even Jesus went in the bottom of the ship and took a nap. Now they woke him up, and when the storm came, he calmed the sea, and he went. They still got where they needed to go, but he was trying to take care of himself. He woke up early in the morning. He went out and to the wilderness, and he prayed, spend time with the Father. What was he doing? God was sustaining the sustainer. God was encouraging the encourager of life. God was watering those that water and tend His garden, that tend His flock and family. When Jesus spent time with God alone, He woke up early in the morning, spent time with God, or either he late in the evening after he dismissed the crowd, he'd go and spend time with the Father, listening to the Father, hearing the Father, fellowshipping with the Father, worshiping the Father, meditating on the Scriptures. Jesus read the Scriptures. He grew up reading the Bible. The Bible that he had, the Old Testament. He went to church. Jesus went to church. What was he? He was being sustained because he was a sustainer of life. He's the bread of life. But even the bread of life was enriched by the Father. The bread of life was enriched by the Father because Jesus was a man. He was a man and God. He was God in the flesh. And because he was in a physical body, he had to continually be receiving from God to be sustained so that he can sustain us with the words that he spoke. His words are, he said in John 6:63, he said, the flesh profiteth nothing. The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life. Well, he received those words from the Father because God will sustain sustainers. God will encourage encouragers of life. God will water those who water his garden, those who tend his flock and family. The liberal soul shall be made fat, and he that watereth shall be watered also himself. Proverbs 11:25. Well, I remember I was not feeling real well at this time, and I was facing life and just thinking about life, and wanting to live and wanting to have the best life possible. Sometimes you evaluate your life, at least you should. And I want to get the best out of life. I want to maximize my life. And God told me this. He said, God will sustain sustainers. God will encourage encouragers of life. God will water those who water his garden, those who tend his flock and family. The liberal soul shall be made fat, and he that watereth shall be watered also himself. In other words, if you live, people who live to give, they live longer. People who live to give, they live longer. If they, in whatever area, and what do you give? You give what you have. Give what you have. Give what you have. Give what you have. If you're, you have comedians. They have the gift of laughter, the gift of being funny. And if you're doing it for God, and some they're just funny, they just give it as they give it, but they use what they have. But if they give it, of course, if you honor God with that gift, it's going to be better for you. You honor God with that lifestyle and that gift. But comedians like Bob Hope, lived a long time giving what he had. God sustained the sustainer. He went over into to the military as far as and performed for them and other places, giving what he had. Musicians like James Brown, he gave what he had. He lived for a long time, and he had life. He had his life as it was, but he gave what he had. Many people have given what they had, and God sustained sustainers. God encouraged encouragers of life. God will water those who water his garden. If you're a pastor, if you're a teacher, if you're a singer, if you're a musician, if you're a writer, if you're a doctor, serve the Lord with gladness. Serve the Lord with gladness. And God will sustain you. Serve him with gladness. And spend that time coming before him. Don't be depleted. Don't let yourself be depleted. Don't serve out of a starved spirit or empty spirit. You serve out of the overflow. You spend time being watered. Let yourself be watered. The liberal soul shall be made fat. So that means you're supposed to have more than enough. And he that watereth shall be watered also himself. You have to come to the water. That's why Jesus says in the Gospels, come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. God will sustain sustainers. God will encourage encouragers of life. God will water those who water his garden, those who tend his flock and family. The liberal soul shall be made fat, and he that watereth shall be watered also himself. Proverbs 11:25. I encourage you today, be a sustainer of life. God will sustain you. Be an encourager of life. God will encourage you. Be someone who waters others. God will continually water you, and you will continually bring forth fruit even into old age. God bless you. I'm Pastor Terrence L. Turner. I'm talking to you today from the book Distinguished Wisdom Presents Living Proverbs, Volume 1. And this is a Focus 15, where I focus 15 minutes on speaking on one of the Proverbs from this book, Living Proverbs, Volume 1. I looked at Living Proverbs 403. You can get a copy of this book at TerrenceTurnerLivingProverbs.com. That's TerrenceTurnerLivingProverbs.com. Also, you can get a copy at Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, Books of Millions, or wherever books are sold. I want to say thank you. Thank you for listening. And my prayer and desire for you is may your life be enriched by the words of wisdom. God bless you.